Hi pen friends, this is Sarah. Today I'd like to give you my thoughts on the Kaweco Premium nib. This is a replacement nib that you can put into any of the Kaweco sports. There are also a few other Kaweco models that you can put it in. I believe you can put it in the student pen and maybe a few others. But I got this nib to put in my Kaweco Sport. This particular one is a limited edition from Galen leather, and it's the Violet Sport. This nib comes in a nice little tin, and I've already put it into this pen, and the nib that I took out I put into here, but when you get this premium nib, it comes in a housing, and it includes the feed and this nib collar, and it's all put together. I've pulled this out, but these are the parts that you would get. This is the nib that came out of this pen, and so the normal nibs for Kaweco have their logo, which is like a circle with the name of the company in it. And the premium nibs, they also have that circle, but then they have these like rays coming out from, it's hard to show it here, but anyways, it looks a little bit different. It's got some like lines coming out like rays from it. Anyways, these are both steel nibs, and the difference is that they've given more attention to tuning the premium nibs so that they are wetter and smoother, and that's what I was looking for. So the nib that I originally had in my Sport was a double broad oblique, and it was a fun nib. I'll show you how it wrote. So this is a writing sample, and I use Colorverse Vortex Motion. And I just felt like it wrote really similarly to the 1.1 millimeter stub nib that they have. I have that 1.1 stub in this Sport, and I just felt like, I enjoy having one, but it was just a little bit too dry and like fine. It wasn't making me love it. It was really nice, but I wasn't in love with it, and so I decided to get a broad premium nib and try that out. So for any of the metal Sport pens, you can just screw out this whole nib unit and replace it with the premium nib, because it comes with this whole unit and it just screws out. But for the plastic Sports, those ones are not the type that screw out. They're friction fit. So what you have to do to swap nibs with those is take the premium nib and pull it out of the housing, and it takes quite a bit of effort, and you don't want to mess up the feeds or anything. But if you just grip firmly where the fins of the feed are not, and just pull it out, or twist, wiggle it back and forth and pull it out firmly, you can get it out. And then do the same thing with the nib that's in the Sport pen. And then just make sure that you line up the nib with the feed and stick it back into your pen. So, so I did that, and I had recently gotten a new ink, which was Monteverde Elephant, and I wrote with the pen with the premium broad nib with elephant ink, and this is what it looked like. And I was kind of worried because it was coming out a lot broader than I wanted, although it felt very smooth and wet, just how I wanted it to be. But I was kind of worried that maybe I should have gotten the medium nib. So I switched out the ink and I put in my favorite ink, which is Robert Oster Bronze. And I wrote with it again. And this is how it looked. So it did write more how I wanted it to, and I was really happy with that. So just keep in mind, you know, if you're not happy with your nib, try changing the ink. Sometimes that really helps. So now I am extremely happy with this, and I really recommend the premium nibs. They're really, really smooth. So there's nothing wrong with the Kaweco, the other Kaweco nibs that I have. I think we'll do a writing sample with these pens to compare. Unfortunately, I don't have a regular Kaweco broad nib to compare the difference between the premium and the regular one, but I do have a medium and the 1.1 stub and this premium broad. So I guess I will bring Eve over and she will do a writing sample for you. First I'm gonna set out where she should write. So this one is the Kaweco Premium broad nib. And they claim that these premium nibs write like a gold nib, and they might write similarly to some broad nibs. They don't have any flecks, but they're very smooth and wet, so they are very nice. And so this ink is Robert Oster Bronze. Okay, and this is the Galen Leather Violet colored pen. And you buy the clips for these separately. So I bought this. They have two different styles of clips. I think this one's called the vintage style, and it's the gold clip. And then this is a frosted sport and lime. And I put the silver clip on it. And this, it's also nice and juicy, but the Kaweco standard medium nib. And this is frosted lime sport, and the ink that I have in there is Monteverde iced cookie, which I think the Monteverde inks are nice and lubricated, so if you have a dry pen, that's a good brand of ink to use. And then this one I got the black clip for, even though it has a silver finial and a silver colored nib. And this one, for my two other ones, I put the mini converter in there, and I find that works really well. This one I eyedropper filled, so you can see a lot of it's almost empty, but you can see the ink in there through the semi-translucent barrel. So this one is a Kaweco standard nib in the 1.1 millimeter. It's Metallic. And this this pen was one of the calligraphy sets, so it came with all the different sizes of metallic nibs, and yeah, it's a really good nib. So this one is the, I think it's called Frosted Natural Coconut. I'm just gonna write coconut. And this ink, it's a little bit dark because it's almost out. It's dried up a little bit, but it's J. Herbin Poussière de Lune. Alright, so I'm going to have Eve come over and add a little bit of writing or drawing or whatever she wants to do with this. Okay, so you can do a writing sample around this top one with this pen, and the caps twist off if you've never used one of these, and it's very short unposted. It's much better to use posted.
I'm just gonna write Coco.
Okay.
In cursive. Cursive Coco.
What do you think of that nib? Does it feel good?
It feels like I can write as light as I want, and the ink will still show up.
Yeah, you don't have to put a lot of pressure on it.
No, so you won't rip the paper anytime soon, unless you just generally rip the paper.
So this one is a medium nib, whereas the first one was a broad nib.
I really like this ink because, well, this like nib, because I think it's better for people who really like the ink that's inside, like me. You can really see the ink more, but it doesn't like interfere with your writing.
Yeah, the broader nibs show off the ink more. That's why I like them too. And this one's an italic nib, so it gives you some line variation because it's thinner in one direction and thicker in the other direction. Alright, well, if you have any questions about Kaweco pens or nibs, just leave them in the comment section. Alright, bye pen friends.
Bye.
Bye.